Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Payoff Pitch. My name is Joey Olberding, and I will be your host for all things sports. So on this Thursday, November 15th, 2018, I want to talk about MLB free agency. Specifically, 5 players that I want to talk about because I think they're all pretty interesting. And these are all players that, of course, left their teams officially. These players are probably not coming back unless I make mention of that here in this. But really, I think I'm just going to go through all of the 5 players, list their stats, list what I think about them, and then list where I think they're going to go and why. So, the biggest name on the free agent board this year is a man named Bryce Harper, who you may be well aware of. He has in his arsenal 6 All-Star games, a Silver Slugger Award, a Rookie of the Year Award, and 1 MVP award. So, clearly, he's only 26 years old, and already he's built up quite the resume as one of the best players in the league, and that's why we're talking about him here. Bryce Harper is a very solid young player. And why he's such a solid player is the stat line that I'm about to name now. He's mostly known for his power. He does have really good power, but last year was a bit of an off year for him, but he still did pretty well. He had a 1.3 WAR, a 2.249 batting average, which was the real issue there, 34 home runs, 100 RBIs, 130 walks, which led the league, and an All-Star game. And like I said, that was an off year for him, so you can only imagine how he does when he has a good year. Probably wins MVP like he did just a little while back. Now, in his career, which has spanned 7 years, so he's been in the league for a while for only being 26 years old, he has 27.4 wins above replacement in those 7 years, so pretty good. A .279 batting average, so much different from the .249 batting average earlier. He has 184 home runs, which is a lot for somebody who's only 26, once again. And he has 585 walks in his career and 521 RBIs in his career. So pretty impressive. And on average, every year, he gets about .279 batting average, 32 home runs, and just under 100 RBIs. So he's a very solid player. And he left the Nationals, the team he was on, earlier this free agency for good. He's not coming back. And the reason why I think it's just so interesting that happens is Bryce Harper is really a premier name. He's really a name that could go anywhere and is a really true talent. He is a player that everybody's going to want to be going for because he's still young. He's probably a Hall of Famer at this point if he keeps playing the way he is. And he's just such a stud. He's such a stud in the outfield. Nobody can replace him. So he'll be looked at a lot, and I think Bryce Harper is a very solid player that you'll probably see being picked up by somebody for a lot of money. Expect 10 years, $300 million, at least, with the $300 million. I'm not sure about the 10 years, but I wouldn't be shocking because a player who's 36 in the MLB isn't that bad, you know. A lot of MLB players play to their 40, especially people like Bryce Harper who are so skilled. It's really not that shocking. So I would expect to see that. You might not, but as to where I think he's going, I think that he's going to go to the San Francisco Giants. Other people who are in contention and want him are the Yankees, the Cardinals, and the Phillies. The Yankees, I think they have a really good outfield already, and I don't think they need to spend anything on Bryce Harper. Even though they'll try, and they may sign Bryce Harper, it's very possible. The Cardinals, I don't think the Cardinals really should. I think that the Cardinals should more so focus on their own players right now, and going after Bryce Harper would have them compete in the NL Central with the Cubs and the Brewers. But at this point, it's hard to say whether you want to spend all that money on Bryce Harper aside from some other solid players that would come much cheaper. That's what I would do if I were the Cardinals. And then the Phillies, I'll say why with the Phillies a little later because we're going to be talking about the Phillies later. So why the Giants? Well, I say the Giants because the Giants have one thing that the Yankees, the Cardinals, and the Phillies don't have. It's the opposite of youth, it's age. A lot of their players are players that need to win now if they want to stay good. And even still, a lot of them are kind of past the point where they were at their prime, such as Madison Bumgarner, Johnny Cueto, Mark Melanson, Buster Posey, Brandon Belt, Brandon Crawford, Evan Longoria, etc., etc. Those are all players who are about 32, and this is kind of their last hurrah before they kind of get a lot worse and don't turn as good as they once were. And a lot of them are already there. A lot of them have already turned into players that you already know aren't going to be as good, such as Evan Longoria. Evan Longoria is already a shadow of his former self, and he'll only turn into a darker and deeper shadow as the years progress, even though he's not that old. Still, you have to realize that if you're the Giants. So, if you get a young, skilled outfielder, which they also need outfield help, and Bryce Harper, and get him for a big contract, that's worth it. Because then you're in contention for the World Series just like that. Because not only are you a real contender now, and your players might start playing harder, but also, not only does it gravitate other players towards you, you also have a real star instead of a bunch of older players who aren't as good as they once were. And that you can really build around. The Giants have one of the worst farm systems in the league, so this is just good for them overall. So I think if both things happen, if Bryce Harper says, okay, I want to come to the Giants, and the Giants want to build around him, then I think that's a perfect deal, no matter how much the money is. It's better than any of the other three, in my opinion. Now, the next player we're going to be talking about is Manny Machado. Manny Machado, former Oriole and Dodger, mostly Oriole, he was traded to the Dodgers mid-season last year, is what many would call a dirty player, and I can't help but agree. He's a player who trips players on purpose and really just doesn't seem that pleasant to be around when it comes to being in the other locker room. But last year, Manny Machado had probably the best season of his career. He had a 5.7 WAR, a 297 batting average, almost 300, 37 home runs, 107 RBIs, 70 walks, 188 hits, and he played all 162 games, which means he tied for leading the league in that because there's only 162 games. And he is really a talent. I'm not the hugest fan of Manny Machado because of his play style, but nobody, absolutely nobody, can argue the fact that Manny Machado is probably one of the best corner infielders in the game. He just has so much talent, and that's what makes this free agent class so interesting. You have two huge players who should get signed and will get signed for monster, maybe 10-year contracts, because Manny Machado, much like Bryce Harper, is also 26 years old. So you can envision a 10-year contract, but the thing is, how would that be worth it? If you win like 2 titles, then maybe it will be, but what about just one? And I think it's really tough to say where it'll be the best fit for Manny Machado. But Manny Machado also is a player that really, really does need to be under control with some good coaches. In his career, he's posted a 33.8 WAR in only 6 seasons. He's played parts of 7, but he's been injured a lot. But that is a higher WAR than Bryce Harper. 282 batting average, 175 home runs, 513 RBIs, 296 walks, over 1,000 hits, 4 All-Stars, and 2 Gold Glove awards. So he's never won MVP like Bryce Harper, but that shouldn't discount how talented this young man is. He is absolutely a talent and absolutely a stud. So where's he going to go? Well, I already said that I was going to be talking about the Phillies later, but it wasn't too much later because it's right now. I think that he'll go to the Phillies because the Phillies have room to make on the left side of the infield. The Phillies have actually a lot to cover. They have to cover getting a really good hitting. They have great pitching. Aaron Nola, third in Cy Young Award this year. He was absolutely phenomenal this year, but still, the Phillies themselves need more help in offense if they want to compete with the surging Braves and maybe even the Nationals. Even though the Nationals no longer have Bryce Harper, that shouldn't discount the fact that this team is still pretty strong. And last year may have just been an off year for them. Personally, I don't think it was. I think that the Braves will kind of have control of that division for a while, unless the Phillies sign Bryce Harper, and then it'll be a much closer race, and it'll be much harder to see. But also, that means that Manny Machado himself will have to compete with a lot of really good teams. Of course, playing for the Orioles and the Dodgers, he's already faced a lot of really good teams, but that's not to say that when Manny Machado gets older, and if he's still in the Phillies uniform based on the contract, uh, let's say there's a no trade clause in there where he can't get traded, and he can't say no to any trades because he doesn't have any say in them. He can't say yes to trades. He can't do anything. The front office just kind of has control, but knows that they can't trade him because it was in the deal. So, Manny Machado, growing older, 35 years old or so, and the Braves, they'll still be in their early 30s and they'll still have so much talent. So, maybe Manny Machado wants to back off from that, but there are a lot of coaches who used to be part of the Orioles, so I think that that's just an absolutely perfect fit for Manny Machado, and he should go there. The next player, the third of five I want to talk about, transitions from offense to pitching. This is a player who really had a good year a few years back and then had another good year this year, but in between, he's just posted alright years, and this year really helps him on trade value because Patrick Corbin of the Arizona Diamondbacks was about 5th in NL Cy Young voting this year, which is pretty good. This year, he posted a 4.8 WAR, a 3.15 ERA. He started in 33 games, 200 innings pitched, and in those 200 innings, had 246 strikeouts. So, not only did he pitch a lot of innings and post a pretty good ERA while doing it, he also had a lot of strikeouts. Over 200 strikeouts is not easy to do, and getting to almost 250 is really, really difficult. That's not easy at all. But in his career, these numbers are a little more scary. He had a 4.8 WAR this year, but overall in his career, he only has an 11.4 WAR. To put that into perspective, Mookie Betts of the Boston Red Sox had about a WAR of 11 this year alone. So Patrick Corbin is kind of an alright starter, but this may have been his breakthrough year. He's 29 years old. He's at the peak of his career, and he's a talent. He's good. He's been in 2 All-Star games, including this year and the other year before, where he had a really good year. But it's tough to say where he's going to go. Every year, I mean, he changes, it seems. He's a pretty inconsistent pitcher, but on average, every year, he gets less than 200 strikeouts. He gets 187 strikeouts. So this was really a weird year for him where he did better than he usually does. So where's the perfect fit for pitchers who may have had one good year and is kind of getting older, but they had a really good year last year, so it's worth it to sign them to a 7-year deal or so? Why, say it with me. No, you didn't have to. It's the New York Yankees, though. I think the New York Yankees are going to be the team that signs him. The Yankees really do need pitching. They got over 100 wins last year, but the pitching was the reason why they fell behind the Red Sox, not their offense at all. Hence why I don't think that they should sign Bryce Harper. They should spend their money better elsewhere, which is pitching where they really need it. There being pitchers, then they'll really be able to move forward past the Red Sox and maybe win a title. Because if they weren't in the AL, the Yankees had a very real shot at winning in the NL, though the NL was strong too, so it's really hard to say. But the Yankees are a talented team, and the help of a pitcher like Patrick Corbin really makes him the man to do it, the man to help out that rotation. Because last year, Sonny Gray had a bad year, and the Yankees are going to be looking to some aging veterans like they often do, um, with a talented, youthful team, which is unlike the Yankees. So he was a man, Patrick Corbin, who ate up innings last year, and that's exactly what the Yankees need when they're facing teams like the Red Sox night in and night out, especially in that crowded AL. So Patrick Corbin, good fit for the Yankees. I just wouldn't sign him to a 7-year deal. Next, we keep going up the age spectrum, but not by much, to Craig Kimbrell, who's 31 years old and is a closer. He used to play for the Braves, he used to play for the Padres, he used to play for the Red Sox just this year, but now he's out of there. He posted this year with the Red Sox a 2.3 WAR, a 2.74 ERA, 42 saves, and in 62 innings, 96 strikeouts. So that's very good. And his ERA is a little scary for a closer, 2.74. That's about 2-3 runs in every 9 innings. So that's not very good. But let's say his career average, when you're looking at it, he's 31, so he's still in the prime of his career. His career average is a 1.91 ERA, which is much better. 42 saves, same mark as this year. And 67 innings pitched, 109 strikeouts. So, Craig Kimbrell is really good. He was really good this year, but he has been even better in the rest of his career. However, he's a closer, he's getting older, and you never know when a closer is going to have a terrible year. Billy Beane of the Oakland Athletics, they made a movie about him, Moneyball. He once said that closers are really replaceable because they're just pitchers that aren't so good, but as long as they have a few good pitches and can lock up one inning, they'll be marked as stars. However, Craig Kimbrell is not like all those closers because he really does have absolute great stuff. So, probably the reason that the Red Sox are letting him go because they have other bullpen pitchers that can do just as well as Craig Kimbrell. But Craig Kimbrell isn't most bullpen pitchers because it's still a loss for the Red Sox because Craig Kimbrell is still one of the best closers in the league. So, where do you go? Well, Craig Kimbrell is going to get to a contender, but who? Who needs Craig Kimbrell? Who needs bullpen pitching that's contending? Maybe if they're in the AL, but all the divisions are so good, it's tough to say. If only there were a division that was actually pretty weak and the one winner was kind of stuck by themselves because they aren't as good as far as division winners. Well, have I got the team for you, Craig? Yep, it's the Cleveland Indians. The Cleveland Indians not only this year had major struggles with their bullpen, and up until this year looked really good. The bullpen this year was really different from years prior because in other years, the Indians have one of the best bullpens. But this year, there are a few injuries and a few really ugly games, and Cleveland realized that the bullpen needed help. But will they get it from Craig Kimbrell? Well, they will. Craig Kimbrell's always been an absolute stud at closer, and that won't change because he's going to turn 32 at some point. It'll make the Cleveland Indians do better. The Cleveland Indians will not only win their division, most likely, this coming year, but they may even make the World Series again after having a very disappointing showing against the Astros just this postseason. Craig Kimbrell can help them get a shot at the title, and overall I think it's a great fit for both. Maybe you get it on a 2 or 3 year deal, it'll be beneficial for both sides, and really, it'll be great. It'll just be great for Cleveland, and it's really something that Cleveland needs in order to be more of a contender. Our final pitcher is Dallas Keuchel, who's also 31 years old like Craig Kimbrell and is a starting pitcher. This year, he kind of had an off year. He had a 2.6 WAR, 3.74 ERA, and in 204 innings, he had 153 strikeouts. He's always been a total workhorse, eating up a lot of innings and playing good ball for the team. And you can really see that in this year. It's not the ERA that's important. The ERA of almost 4 isn't important because of the Astros that are behind them. the Astros can really get a ton of runs in one inning, especially in one game. And the fact that Dallas Keuchel had an off year doesn't really matter. The fact is that he's still an important aspect to the Astros, but what'll he do in free agency? There are a lot of good teams out there. His career average is much different, much different. While Craig Kimbrell from earlier had 7 All-Star games and 1 Rookie of the Year, Dallas Keuchel is different in the fact that he only has 2 All-Star games, but he has 4 Gold Gloves and a Cy Young Award. So really, it's 1 year that really was important to Dallas Keuchel, and what made him turn into such a good pitcher. His career average is a 3.66 ERA, and in 216 innings on average, he gets 171 strikeouts. So where does this workhorse go? Where does he go in free agency? Well, quite honestly, I think he just goes back to the Astros on a different deal. The Astros know how much of a workhorse he is, and how important he is to being a part of the Astros, and how the Astros become a contender once again. The Astros are still one of the best teams in the league, and having somebody like Dallas Keuchel, who's not only important to the clubhouse, but also important to the team itself, is essential, and you can't let him walk. You need to give him a big contract, 5 years and a lot of money, and that'll do it. He is so important, and so he has to stay in Houston's eyes. And I think that's really my payoff pitch for today's episode. Not everybody in free agency has to leave their team. A lot of them can just go on different deals, and that's really important. While we look at free agency as a place for old players to go somewhere new, it's not always that way. It's always a lot of talented pitchers going somewhere else and then coming right back. It's really just as simple as getting a new contract sometimes, and for Dallas Keuchel, I think that's what it is. So I hope you enjoyed this edition of the Payoff Pitch. Make sure to check us out on TuneIn Radio 95.7 MRC. Check us out on YouTube at Clark Montessori. Check us out on Twitter at Soco Club. And from me, Joey Olberding, I hope you enjoyed this edition of the Payoff Pitch. And I hope you stay tuned to 95.7 for more Payoff Pitch and so much more.